So it is time for our 2025 NHL Mock Draft. Number one, this is post World Juniors. We wanted to wait a little bit before we did this one. Couple things off rip to keep in mind. We are basing this off of best player available. So I want you guys to keep that in mind here. Again, the San Jose Sharks are picking first overall as an example. They may not go with, for example, like James Higgins. They may go with someone like Matthew Schaefer. But in our opinion, we may not think Schaefer is the best player in this draft. So that's the way we're going to go with it. And let's just hop straight into it. Carter, you have the first overall pick. The order of the lottery is just the current standings and the current tankathon order. But Carter, who are you going with here for the first overall pick and the best player of this draft?
So sadly, it is best player of the draft. Otherwise, I think the Sharks would go Matthew Schaefer here. But it is not. It is best available, and I think James Higgins is the best player in this draft class, at least right now. I think once Schaefer comes back from injury, we could start seeing more arguments of him being number one. I know Bob McKenzie has him as the unanimous number one. I still think that what James Higgins is doing in college hockey is still just unbelievable.
Yeah, I think with what Higgins has done in the World Juniors and what he has also been doing in college, I think this kid has a lot of real talent. Again, the first overall pick really does seem very open this year. Like last year, we knew it was going to be Celebrini, and then it was kind of like chaos after that, to be honest with you. This year, it feels like it's a lot more open. There's a lot of good players in the draft for sure. Second overall for me, again, this is best player available, which is why I'm going to go Matthew Schaefer here. Schaefer, again, even though he is injured, he's going to be out for a lot of this year. It may hurt his stock value when you look in terms of how, he's going to miss until at least up to the end of the he's in the OHL season. He's for the Erie Otters, I think. Again, for Schaefer, his stock may go down a little bit, but I think at least as of right now, he is the legitimate second overall pick for me at the very least. Third overall should not be very hard, though, Carter. Who do you have there?
Number 3, I have Michael Misa.
Wow, okay. You want to go into him a little bit? He's a
I think that Michael Misa, I think we've seen him as an exceptional status player. He's not exactly what we expected him to be as an exceptional status player. I think when you are exceptional status, you're expected to be a top player instantly. And he was very good. And I think that he was supposed to be the top pick in this draft. He's not number one, but I think he is definitely a top 3 player. Just the way he skates, his shot and everything like that, his playmaking ability. I wish we would have got to have seen him on Team Canada, but obviously I've ranted enough about that to even consider talking about it right now, so I'm not going to. But I still think that Michael Misa is the third best player in this class.
He's in Saginaw, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless he got traded, but I'm pretty sure he is still in Saginaw.
He's a winger too, right? Or can he play center as well?
I have him as center left wing. He can play both.
Okay. I cannot believe, and again, I said this in my own mock draft, I cannot believe that he didn't make that Canada team. Again, I know Carter doesn't want to go into it, but I still...
We're not going to.
He is playing unreal in the Ontario Hockey League right now. He just looks incredible. Nothing short of incredible. He is proving all of those doubters wrong. And I also want to say he was born on the same day as me, so he always has a special place in my heart, and that means he is going to the Utah Hockey Club. Anyways, I'm messing around with that. Nashville Predators at 4th overall. I think they go with Porter Martone here. I think Martone, the top 4 really can be changed in any way. Martone, I think, is on Oshawa, right?
No, he's on Brampton Steelheads.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody else is on Oshawa. But yeah, Porter Martone has looked insane this year. I'm surprised that he actually sat out a little bit of the World Juniors. Again, just Canada's poorly put together roster. I feel like shouldn't really lie on the players. Shouldn't lie on some of these players and how they played necessarily, because I think they still are really good players. But the stock there from Martone may be hurt a little bit from the World Juniors, but I think he's a center who has the elite creativity. He's putting up really good numbers in the OHL again, and a lot of guys from the CHL here in this draft who I think have looked incredible down the stretch. And I think Martone goes 4th overall. that's a really good top four. Like the
Yeah.
top four is really good. Those are 4 impact players going to those teams. So who do you have at number 5, Carter?
Number 5, my 5th favorite player in this class. I watched him a lot kind of in World Juniors, and he just completely blew my mind, and I think that he will end up better than his brother. Victor Eklund is my 5th best player in this draft class.
Eklund is a winger.
Swedish. Right? Yeah, left winger from Sweden.
So Eklund, I'm a big fan of Eklund. I think Eklund really can do a lot of damage in the NHL. He's somebody who came to the Swedish leagues. I think he's on Djurgårdens, I'm pretty sure, in Sweden. He has been awesome for them. He has looked like an immediate impact player in the pro leagues. And he has an advantage that a lot of these other players don't have. He's playing against pros. So I think it's a very good chance that we could see him go pretty high in this draft and for that position. So I really do like Eklund there as a big impact player for Anaheim. And again, that's a loaded forward core if he really does go to the Ducks. Again, this is not based off a team preference, but that is a loaded forward core, 100%. 6th overall, this is where the draft kind of goes a little bit math for me. I have Roger McQueen. I think he's a winger. He is playing with. Oh my God, he is playing in. I'm trying to think this.
Brandon.
Brampton as well?
No, Brandon. Wheat Kings.
Yeah, so he plays for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL. He's actually been hurt a lot of this year, but in the stretch that he's played, he actually has put up an incredible number. And when he does come back from injury, I think the stock is really going to rise on him dramatically. So I am in love with what McQueen has been able to do. And he just has a really cool name. McQueen, come on, that's such a cool name. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do. Possibly in Seattle if he does go there, but he's going to be a really solid player as well. And now we get to the point where the draft really does kind of fall off a little bit for me. You have the good, really top 6 of players. After this, it gets a little bit, it's still good players, but not like franchise impact players. Again, you could argue that it ends after the top 4, but all right, who do you have at 7th overall, Carter?
I'm going to go back to the Swedish league here. Give me Anton Frundell.
I like
another
that.
Swedish boy. What the? Yeah, he's a center. Again, another player that really impressed me, kind of around World Juniors time. Yeah, I don't have much to say. He looked absolutely unbelievable.
Hasn't really had much of an impact under in the Swedish leagues. Again, that is an effect because sometimes players do go into the Swedish league and they don't be as good as they are right away. But Frondell still really has the potential to be a legitimate NHL regular. And I think he's somebody who could really be a good second, possibly first line center for a team that is drafting him for sure. 8th overall, I actually have Ivan Ryabkin. I'm pretty sure he's a winger. He is in the United States Hockey League right now. I'm not 100% where he is in the United States Hockey League. I don't know if you want to look that up there, Carter. But he has had a little bit of a weird year in the USHL where he actually started off in Moskva in the KHL and decided I'm going to transition over to the USHL midway through the year. And so far in the USHL, he's looked really good. It looks like he has a real impact. He could be somebody who's an absolute steal at wherever he goes and could be a massive impact player for whoever's getting him. Who does he play for, Carter?
You want me to read off his stats? He plays for Muskegon, the Lumberjacks.
Yeah.
He's played 4 games, 3 goals, no assists, -2, and the real kicker, the fun one, Nordic, 19 penalty minutes in 4 games.
Oh boy, so he's like a reincarnation of Rempe, possibly.
He's a Russian.
Yeah, he is a Russian. I still think he's gonna have a big he's still gonna be an NHL player. I think he's also injured as of right now, I believe, but maybe a little bit of a stretch there at 8th overall, but I still think he's gonna be a top 10 guy. And then Carter, with your final pick, the Detroit Red Wings, who are you going with?
The Detroit Red Wings are going to take another Canadian, a lot of Canadians, in my at least top 10. I got them going Caleb Denoyer. Desnoyers, I don't know how you want to pronounce it. I think it's Denoyer. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. I've been really impressed with his game. He's looked really good. I'm pretty sure he's also like, I want to make sure before I say this, but I'm pretty sure he's like 6'5" or something ridiculous.
I think he is the one who's like very tall. Brother of Elliot Desnoyers, who is a prospect right now for the Philadelphia Flyers. Desnoyers definitely looks like the better Desnoyers in the family for sure. He is gonna go top 10 at least, and I think he's somebody that really is gonna make a huge impact. As I think he's a center, right, Carter? I put him down as a center, so he better.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
So he is somebody who could fit in there as a, at the best potential, a first line center or just a second line guy. But he's somebody who I think is definitely going to go top 10 in this draft for sure. And then my final pick, Carter, do you have your stat before I go into it?
Oh, he's not 6'5". It's Roger McQueen who is 6'5".
Oh, okay.
Denoyer was the one that he's the two-way center.
All right.
I had the two mixed up.
My final pick, well, yeah, it's good to have a two-way center for sure. My final pick in this draft, I am going with defenseman Jackson Smith. I'm not 100% sure what team he's on, Carter. What team is he on? I can't remember. Is it the Hitmen?
No.
That might be Yakimchuk. Never mind.
Tri-City.
Tri-City. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was one of those areas. Smith has been a real riser, especially as of late. For the draft this year, he is a defenseman who plays really good defensively. Is a guy who could be a really good fit on teams that need defense. Ironically enough, Utah needs defense, so that would work out pretty well. But again, it is best player available. Again, he has been a real riser in this draft, so I see him as being somebody who has a lot of potential and a lot of good future there in the NHL for sure. Only the second defenseman on this list, actually. So, again, if you're looking for a defenseman in this draft, it's not particularly the strongest one. There's only really centers in this draft, if we're being honest. Carter, even though we just did a top 10, are there any players that are outside of the top 10 that you think deserve an honorable mention? Logan Hensler is one that comes to mind for me.
What would you say?
Logan Hensler was one that came to mind for me, but he hasn't had the great seasons.
Malcolm Spence is one for me. I really liked him.
Yeah, him as well. I agree
there
with
was
that.
another guy that I had listed.
Yeah, I had another dude too. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a decent draft. I don't know if it's as good as last year's, because you look at last year's, like this was the final results of last year's, or this is our final mock draft last year. A lot of good players in this. A lot of good players all the way up until I would say around here. It feels like for this draft, it's still a really good pool, but the top four is where it's elite. Like those are the really good top four players. And I think that if you're in the top four, you're in a really good spot for sure.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say, I think that I'm going to put this out there now. This is no bias, no nothing. I think Carter Bear will be a top 5 player from this draft class next year.
Really? Carter Bear?
I think he's a name that we're going to look out for. I got a good feeling about him. I've watched a lot of his highlights. He looks really good on Everett. I don't know if that's because of I'm already blanking on his name. Landon DuPont. I don't know if it's because of him, but I mean, I will say he's looked really good. I'm impressed with Carter Bear. So keep an eye out for him.
Love it. We'll go through our top 10 here again for the audio listeners. So first overall, we have James Higgins. Second overall, we have Matthew Schaefer. Third overall, we have Michael Misa. Fourth overall, we have Porter Martone. Fifth overall, we have Victor Eklund. Sixth overall, we have Roger McQueen. Seventh overall, we have Anton Frondel. Eighth overall, we have Ivan Ryabkin. Ninth overall, we have Caleb Denoyer. And 10th overall, we have Jackson Smith going to the Utah